support each other's effort and to be a coherent force. Now we want to start with the co-sponsor report on the efforts in combating climate change and to learn how we can help each other's effort because we want to be all in one force. And we will start our community report. Let me see this. Okay. The first co-sponsor is the risk-taking mission of First United Methodist Church. And the church has been the third year hosting this event. Very graciously, Reverend Deb has done everything she can. She came back from a trip and she immediately come back and do everything. I'm really grateful. Please.
Thank you, and welcome all to this First United Methodist Church of Pasadena. We're really pleased to provide the forum and to encourage climate change activism in our community. So we're also really ramping up our activities on climate change, and we're doing it to develop a faith-based response to climate change. The idea is that we want to reach out to faith communities who traditionally do not see climate change as something that is really important, right? And so we're reaching out to communities that have not been active, and one of the ways that we're doing it is we're in Lent, right? This is the 6 weeks before Easter, and you're supposed to fast during Lent. Well, we're fasting from carbon. And so if you look, I'll talk to you about it in a little bit, that we have this big carbon footprint, and every time somebody does something to decrease their carbon footprint, they put a little sticker on it. And it covers up part of the carbon of the footprint. And we're competing with All Saints Episcopal Church to see how much they can do versus how much we can do. And then we are also going to be supporting the Soul Force Music Festival, which is going to happen the weekend after Easter. And that is a festival that focuses on nonviolent communication and climate change, raising awareness for climate change. So we're going to bring our footprints together and compare them. And so we're also, if you want to find out more about the Soul Force Festival, it's going to be a 3-day festival, going to be all over this entire church grounds, and we're selling tickets over there. So if you want to come, it'll be really interesting. We'll have a lot of information and a lot of different kinds of people coming in to focus on climate change. Another thing we're doing is we are revamping a camp that we have up in the San Bernardino Mountains, and we have changed the mission statement to focus more on sustainability and education. And so we're providing that to the community for that. And then I also, I have a background in astrophysics and engineering, as well as in faith response to climate change. And so I go out and I give talks to organizations. I just had a talk for the United Methodist Women, 170 people, and engaging them, and we're going to start reaching out to other faith communities. So we hope to be the center of a climate change, faith-based climate change focus in Southern California. That's our vision.
The next co-sponsor is the Citizens Climate Lobby. Rob Hall will give us his report.
This one here?
Yeah, this is you.
Okay, hi. There we are. So I'm going to talk good morning. I'm going to talk about some federal legislation, a bill that is in DC right now. It's in committees, It's called HR 763, the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act. So this is a true climate bill. Our house is on fire. Until you start focusing on what needs to be done instead of what is politically possible, there is no hope. We cannot solve the crisis without treating it as a crisis. So the legislation I'm going to describe very briefly in my 3 minutes is certainly not revolutionary, but it could be the first step in a revolution. So this is it. The overview of this bill is, since we still live in a market economy, why don't we use market solutions to solve the carbon problem? So this particular bill is effective, it's good for people, it's good for the economy, it's revenue neutral, and it's bipartisan. There's a Republican and a Democrat that have introduced this bill. Oh, my goodness. Very light touch here. Okay, so this is the general idea on this bill. A fee is charged on all fossil fuel extraction when it comes out of the ground or at the port of entry. That money is collected by the US Treasury. This is a fee, or you can call it a fee or a tax up at the source, and it will rise year after year. But that money will be collected by the Treasury, and this is what makes this bill special, is that all of that money would then be rebated in equal size checks to everybody in the country every month. You get to choose what you do, how you spend that money. So this would make fossil fuels more expensive, but people would be cushioned by that rising prices because of this rebate coming back. And for roughly 60% of all people in the country, this rebate would more than cover all of the rising costs. So it's a very progressive plan. So just for an example, under this plan, HR 763, in year 10 of this plan, a household of 4 would be getting almost $300 a month back. And then in year 20, because the fee is rising year after year, slowly rising, but rising all the time, it would be almost $400 a month. And this is a way that's been shown that this will level the playing field for clean energy, and people will just use basically their pocketbooks to vote with, and they would start choosing clean energy solutions because they'd be motivated to do so. It would be cheaper. And this just is a real quick overview of how effective it would be. That top line is our carbon emissions. So on the bottom is years, going out 30 years from now, and on the up and down, the vertical axis is the amount of carbon emissions. The black line is if we do nothing. That's how they're going to continue to rise, projected rise. The middle line is what the Clean Power Plan, President Obama's plan from a few years ago that is now being axed by the current administration, that shows how it would cut carbon emissions. The bottom line shows how this legislation would cut carbon emissions, and it's much, much more effective and much more significant. So me personally, I think that's a good trade, actually, sort of, if we can sort of do a trade and say, okay, we'll get rid of the Clean Power Plan and we will pass this HR 763, we'll accomplish a lot more. And so this is the website. If you'd like to learn more, energyinnovationact.org, or stop by the table back there, the Citizens Climate Lobby table, and we can describe more for you. There we go. Okay.
Thank you, Rob. Let's see. The next co-sponsor is California Interfaith Power and Light. Alice Ruffo is the Southern California Outreach Director. Please.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's great to be in a room with all of our wonderful colleagues. So you may have heard California Interfaith Power and Light works with the faith community. It's a faith response to climate change. And we work with faith communities on energy efficiency, renewable energy, education, and advocacy. So California is just one state of 40 states that has an interfaith power and light. And we harness the power of faith and work with imams, rabbis, reverends, Hindus, Muslims. It's just a wonderful way to build relationships as well. And right now we're getting ready to go to DC for our annual DC lobbying. And we are getting ready for our Sacramento lobby days in June and August. And just a couple things that we've been working on recently is we've been working very hard on supporting community choice aggregation. So we've been working on this. We think it's a fantastic way to get energy, renewable energy on a very, very large scale. So right now we have 2 grants with Peninsula Clean Energy and Marin Clean Energy. And we've been working with other ones. So for example, the Clean Power Alliance here in Los Angeles, Ventura counties, we're really excited to see what goes from that. And another thing is we're working with a Faith Forward campaign. We are very, very concerned about the proposed rollbacks of the life-saving policies from the Trump administration. So we're working on not having the clean cars standards rolled back, for example, and all of the other proposed rollbacks. And we will have our revised EV guide ready in about 2 weeks. And the EV guide has information about EVs and ways that congregations can get EV charging stations. And I see so many electric vehicles out in the parking lot, which is really great. So if you have any questions or anything, you can look at Interfaith Power and interfaithpower.org or see me and I can give you one of my cards. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alice. Okay, the next co-sponsor is the group Unitarian Universalist Church, and we have Reverend Klein here.
Great. Hi, I'm Pastor Tara from Troop Church, and I'm here to talk a little bit about Troop Learning Garden. Unitarian Universalism feels that climate change is an important issue to address, and we base that in 2 of our Unitarian Universalist principles. One is the respect for the inherent worth and dignity of every being, and also respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are all a part. We started Troop Learning Garden in a community partnership with Transition Pasadena, and you'll hear a little bit more from them in a few minutes. Transition Pasadena wanted a public showcase of our values of moving from oil dependency into local resiliency. And some of the important aspects of Troop Learning Garden as it pertains to climate change are things like food production, water conservation, locally sourced materials, native plants, and also, most important of all, community involvement so we can all get our hands in the dirt. One of our goals with the Learning Garden is climate mitigation. So we're trying to green up an urban area, and we're also trying to change our own personal behavior. And note our beautiful solar panels, which we're dedicating next Sunday. Another goal is carbon neutrality, and again, we're trying to do that through solar panels, through community activism. We were very engaged with the styrofoam ban, and again, changing personal behavior. We are in our 30 Days for the Earth at Troop, and that's during the month of April, where through worship and programs and activities, we encourage our people to reconnect with their love of and care for Earth. Community education is a huge part of Troop Learning Gardens. So with so many of our garden installations, we bring the neighborhood in because we want to teach people how to nourish the soil, how to do rainwater catchment, how to do composting and vermiculture. And a couple of other goals are this community engagement and finally bringing a sense of hope and possibility to people, because we all know that the facts and figures that we get about climate change feel really depressing, and we want to teach people to have an active hope that we can indeed change the world, healing Earth and each other. George Patton.
Hello, I'm George Patton from the Troop Garden. And one thing that a lot of people will tell me is when I talk about gardening, they'll say, well, I don't have a green thumb. But I'm here to tell you that everybody here was born with a green thumb. We've all been connected through thousands and thousands and thousands of years to all these various plants, whatever, they're in our genes. It's been coming out scientifically lately that all kinds of plants have certain chemicals in them that when they're taken into our bodies have certain receptors that will latch onto those. So anyway, that's the scientific part. So anytime we're in our gardens, we can be learning, we can, through observation and just getting our hands in the dirt, as Tara said, we can get more proficient. Our green thumb can keep getting greener all the time. I didn't want to give you any doom information here because this is something that I've just recently learned. The National Geographic and Scientific American have just said that about 40% of all insects on the planet are now at risk. They don't understand why. So this is a new factoid that I thought you should know. But being in the garden, it's a sanctuary. It's a sanctuary for insects and people and birds, butterflies. And speaking of the insect Armageddon again, everybody remembers the painted lady butterfly migration, over 1 billion, perhaps, butterflies that were flying everywhere from Mexico to Oregon. This is the kind of Armageddon that we're looking at in terms of human and insect and mammalian populations. So to finish up, I just want to say that gardens can be sanctuaries for all life. And so let's create those sanctuaries. Thank you.
The next co-sponsor is the Pasadena Group Sierra Club. We will have Russ Babbitt, to speak to us. Where is Russ? Right here. Okay.
Here you go. Thank you.
Let me put this on you.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank the League of Women Voters for putting this on today. It's an important way for all of us to learn more, because more education, more information is going to help us all get out the word. As she says, I'm Russ Babbitt. I'm here with Bill Joyce and Pam Allen at the Sierra Club table back there. We are representing the Pasadena group of the Sierra Club. We're part of the Angeles chapter, of which represents 45,000 members in Los Angeles and Orange County. The Sierra Club has over 3.5 million members to influence national and have national impact. Our endorsements are in demand by candidates for political office, but are granted only after a rigorous process to those that have proven a commitment to work for the environment. Part of our mission statement emphasizes the purpose of today's forum. It says, to practice and to promote the responsible use of the Earth's ecosystems and resources, to educate and enlist humanity to protect and restore the quality of the natural and human environment. On sierraclub.org website, you will find significant information of our efforts in this respect. The Angeles chapter of the Sierra Club also offers great opportunities to enjoy the natural environment through outings, hikes, and other activities in the local mountains and in other countries. You'll find the listings at angeles.sierraclub.org. I invite you to visit our table and pick up some of our literature. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Okay, our next co-sponsor is Transition Pasadena. We'll have Sylvia Holmes to talk to us. Hi, Sylvia.
Thank you, and thank you to the League of Women Voters. My name is Sylvia Holmes. I'm on the steering committee of Transition Pasadena. Transition Pasadena is part of the global transition movement that came into being out of a dedication to fight climate change and develop ways to adapt to its outcomes. Transitions are inevitable, but how we will endure them along the way. The more effectively we anticipate changes and prepare for them, the more comfortable the transitions will be. One example of the work of Transition Pasadena is what you already saw, the Throop Learning Garden, which is in partnership with Throop UU. True, right now we can get our food from the grocery store, but what if there was suddenly no more gas? The food would stop arriving via trucks from the Central Valley and beyond, and we would have to find it closer to home. In such a dramatic situation, Throop Learning Garden's existence would mean that some food would be available. Another brainchild is the Repair Cafe Pasadena, which, along with the building community, is about keeping objects out of the landfill, which is a symptom of our throwaway society. Again, if there are no trucks and no gas to fuel them, the flow of consumable items to stores is halted. So we had better learn how to fix things instead of tossing them. Why not start now? Decreasing consumerism helps climate too. Repair Cafe is an example of the gift economy at work, by volunteers fixing and mending things that would otherwise be discarded. Pasadena 100 is about fighting climate change through activism at City Hall. The goal of Pasadena 100 was to convince the city to move toward 100% renewable energy by 2035. They came close, but they did agree to 2 other initiatives. First, no more long-term fossil fuel contracts. Yay! And second, they will include the social cost of carbon when they are doing their calculations on where to best source our energy. Also really great. One of our earlier projects was Cool Roofs. It was a campaign which successfully influenced the city to give rebates to citizens who add cool roofs, which reduce the urban heat island effect. Council is about establishing trust and learning communication techniques and practicing them. These are skills we will need now to continue to build community networks essential to coping with stressful times. Storytelling and deep listening are our tools. Then there's the beautiful Bioswales project, which is in partnership with Pasadena Complete Streets Coalition. It's about capturing stormwater to keep green spaces thriving. Since climate change in California has created more drought and more strong storms events, capturing stormwater is an adaptation that will reduce soil erosion and increase lush landscapes. The goal is the establishment of more bioswales in public and private spaces. Then there's Altabassa Green Circle, which is about going plastic-free. The elimination of fossil fuels means less or no plastic. We are practicing for the future, and every time we refuse to buy plastic, we are changing the market with our dollars. Altadena's Wednesday Farmers Market hosts Green Circle, making fabric bags, sharing plastic-free dining, and raising zero-waste consciousness. We also have the 100% California Native Garden, which was planted and is maintained by neighbors at Pasadena's Jackie Robinson Post Office. Establishing native landscapes is important for biodiversity because climate change is rapidly altering the quality and location of habitat for pollinators, bugs, birds, and critters, which are suffering as a result. Then there's mulch for the people, which is about building soil more effectively by getting more mulch to more people more easily. Better soil creates healthier plants, and plants sequester carbon. Another way to fight climate change. It also keeps mulch out of the dump. where it causes methane gas, a greenhouse gas. Pasadena Environmental Advocates is a collaboration of multiple groups that meets bi-monthly at Eco Breakfast. Participants and guests of the many local environmental organizations network, brainstorm, and collaborate on short-term bursts of activism. The needs range from fighting climate change to various ways of working towards adaptations. Many projects spring from the synergy achieved at these meetings. Piano a la carte is a project linking eco-friendly transportation, and in this case, bicycle riding, and the gift of music. By transporting his piano around town on a cart strapped to his bicycle, David Cutter is a one-person climate change force of nature. And playing music in public is a delightful example of the gift economy, the free expression of art prompting others to share their creative gifts as well. From native plants to cool roofs, from music to mulch, Transition Pasadena has been fighting climate change and building community inside City Hall and out in the environment for nearly 10 years. The progress continues through gifts and efforts of long-term as well as newly recruited volunteers. The danger of climate change is real, and the efforts to combat it are powerful too. We're online at transitionpasadena.org, and we have an event coming up. Persistence of Tropical Coral Reefs is a talk by Dr. Patrick Lyons, Wednesday, April 17th at 7 at Throop. Hope to see you there. Thanks.